find that, the likelihood is they won't find for him on any of them. And the same with Amber Heard. So it's going to be under 10 minutes, Stacey.
Okay, that's good to know. And just a reminder of viewers, what we expect to happen here, if this just takes 10 to 15 minutes, the jurors, once they're led back in the jury room, they'll later be dismissed. But we expect the legal teams for both sides will come out and give some remarks. Other players in this as well. Unclear whether anyone will hear anything from Amber Heard immediately after this. And by the way, if you look on the screen, she is seated there in the courtroom awaiting the verdict with the rest of us. An interesting question that we got from Haley Howell on Facebook. Has the judge already heard the verdict, or will she be hearing it for the first time when we do as well? Janine, do you want to take that one? Okay. Janine has left us. We thank her for her time. Linda, the judge is going to hear the verdict just when we do, right?
Stacey, I'm sorry. I thought Nima was going to field that one, but I'll field it. Yes, the judge.
Nima, please take it, Nima. Guys, I'm out here in our Studio A. It's hot. It's humid. I can't see all of you in the monitor. So, Nima, please, will the jury hear? Will the judge rather be hearing the verdict for the first time when we do?
The judge is going to get to see it, I guess, maybe 30, 45 seconds before, and then at that point, yeah. So the judge will know right before we will.
Okay, so this is all kind of happening in real time, off the cuff here, and the judge will be finding out, you know, barely any time before the rest of us. Sarah Wilson on YouTube asked, are they going to show the courtroom when it's being read? Yes, Sarah, that's what you're seeing now on your screen is a live picture of the courtroom. You see the attorneys there, you see Johnny Depp's attorneys there, you see Amber's attorneys, and you see Amber herself. Again, for those of you who are just tuning in, because we have new people logging on every minute as we get closer and closer, literally 1 minute away from 3 o'clock. Johnny Depp, we have been told by sources close to him, obviously is not going to be here. He's not there now. He is still in the UK after doing a series of surprise performances with Jeff Beck. He is expected to stay there. His team said that he had prior commitments in the UK, and he will be watching the verdict from there. We'll see whether he issues any kind of comment, video statement. We just don't know what we'll hear from him, but we do expect we will hear from his legal team as soon as this is over. And again, our cameras outside of the courtroom on standby, where we have seen crowds growing, supporters, and so forth as we get ready for this verdict to be read. It is about 3 o'clock.
All right, are we ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. All right. Just for everybody in the gallery, reminder that this is a court of law, and regardless of the verdict, I will not tolerate any outbursts whatsoever. Okay? Thank you.
Oh.
If I could have the attorneys approach for a moment.
My prediction is both of them are in the wrong. Superstar with an ego.
All right, again, you're looking live in. Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what I need you to do, I need to give the forms back to you. When you find for a defamatory statement, one or more, you need to fill out the compensatory damages. It has to be at least $1 for compensatory damages and up to whatever you feel the damages should be. Back to the operation room and do that for me, okay?
Stupid ass jury making me.
All right, so we'll be in recess till we hear back from them. Don't go too far, okay? Right, thank you.
Well, just as we were telling you, this could wrap up in just about 10 minutes by 3:10, 3:15. Not so fast. There was a little sidebar going on with the attorneys in the front. Apparently, the jurors didn't fill out the damages section. The judge now sending them back to complete this special verdict form, literally like a worksheet that they need to fill out. They didn't put in the damages. Linda, what do you make of that?
Well, Stacey, it means somebody won this case, that somebody won their defamation claims, right? Now, the fact that they didn't fill out the compensatory damages award, I think may bode well for Johnny Depp. The judge said it has to be at least $1. Usually you see if somebody wins, you have to fill out an award. Either that or somehow they both won, which I don't think is likely. But he was the one that didn't ask for damages, if you recall. He said, I'm not seeking damages. She asked for, I think it was $350,000 damages. So it sounds like someone won. It could be Johnny Depp because the jury may have telegraphed it by not filling out an award for damages. But under the law, at least has to be $1.
Right, so maybe they missed that instruction and just figured, oh, we're not awarding damages, so we're going to leave it blank.
That's right. That's what it could sound like.
Now, in the very unlikely event that they just forgot to do that section and they actually did intend for some kind of damages, we had a question from viewers earlier, which is what happens if there's a verdict, say, against Amber Heard and there's a judgment awarded for Johnny Depp and Amber Heard doesn't have that money, whether it's $50 million, whether it's $20 million, whether it's $10 million. What happens if she doesn't have that money, Linda?
Well, you know, we have that in many civil cases where the person that gets the verdict, they don't have, the defendant doesn't have the money, right? You can pursue her. It could be a claim that follows her around for the rest of her life. With it gets docketed, it gets logged. She could discharge it in bankruptcy, assuming it's against her. We're making a lot of assumptions. Maybe it's against him and it's $1. Who knows? But the likelihood is that with $1 verdict, the jury may just want to be sending a message for whoever wins. And again, we're assuming it's Johnny Depp, but it also could be Amber Heard because she was seeking damages. Maybe they found for her, but not giving her damages. We just don't know.
Yeah, we just don't know. I mean, this should be relatively quick, I would think, right? For them, if they've already decided on this and it was just an oversight that they didn't put anything in or didn't know that they had to write something. So, you know, they hopefully will be back in a few minutes. As we've been telling our viewers and more are turning in, the verdict has not been read yet. Just to bring everyone up to speed, here's what happened. Right at 3 o'clock on the dot, the judge, she is very punctual. She came into the courtroom. Everyone stood up. She brought in the jury. There was a little sidebar between the attorneys up in front. They were looking and they said, oh, guys, jurors, you didn't fill out the compensatory damages. You didn't fill that part out. There's nothing here. You have to go back to the jury room and fill this out. And so the jury was sent back out to take care of that, and that's what we're waiting for at this point. Again, Amber Heard, as you can see, is there in the courtroom with her attorneys. Johnny Depp is not here. His team having told us that because of prior commitments in the UK, which we know to be shows, he's playing music with Jeff Beck. He will be watching the verdict from the UK. So who knows? Maybe he's watching our coverage. If so, Johnny, call us. We want to do an interview with you as soon as this is all over. Linda, any any final predictions here as we wait for word?
Well, it's very interesting with this possible dollar worth of damages. Now, but I have a question here, Stacey. I wonder if the teams know who the verdict was for, because remember, the judge brought them to the bench. They were looking through the verdict form. She obviously had to tell them that there was a verdict in favor of someone, but has to send them back for damages. We can't see the courtroom, so we can't see the body language or what's happening.
That's a good point.
So,
that is a good point.
I wonder whether they know who's won and who is lost, Stacey.
And if they did perhaps see that, I mean, would that be an issue? Would there be any sort of violation of rules or any ethics issues if they saw it before it was read out publicly in court?
Absolutely. Quite frankly, they have a right to see it and to tell their clients. So no, there's no violation. They have to know when the jury has filled out the forms, and they have to know is there a problem, because the judge has to tell them what she is going to do so they can either lodge an objection or not lodge an objection. And again, could they have just forgotten to fill it out? They may not have known that you just give $1 compensatory damages. Maybe it wasn't in the instructions. Quite frankly, I don't remember seeing it, but we should have one of our legal, eagle, fabulous people here that go through everything with a fine-tooth comb again to see whether there was an instruction about whether or not you had to award a compensatory damage of $1 if somebody wins.
Let me set the scene for those who are just tuning in. You're looking at a picture live outside the Fairfax County Courthouse here, where you see the crowds are growing. If you can hear in the audio behind me, there are helicopters circling up and above, local news helicopters taking pictures of the crowds. It was just, I think, gosh, I'm losing track already, but around 1:30 when we got word that a verdict was going to be read at 3 o'clock. At that point, it was basically just media hanging out outside trying to keep cool. As soon as we found out the verdict was coming, well, quickly, all the media assembled in their spots, and we started to see more and more cars pull up, into the parking lot, more fans come outside. Obviously, more people go inside the courtroom. You have to have one of these special wristbands in order to be in the courtroom or the overflow room. And now we see a much bigger crowd, which is probably going to continue to grow over the next few minutes. It's possible, since we now know that Johnny Depp is not coming, that some of the fans who were hoping to catch a glimpse after the verdict was read, they decided to sit it out because they know he's not here. Again, Amber Heard is there inside of the courtroom with her legal team. Unclear whether she'll make any kind of statement afterwards. As you can see in that picture outside the courtroom, there is a live picture. There is a podium, rather, set up with all the microphones. So as soon as the verdict's read and the legal teams come out and the other key players come out, we are going to be getting that reaction to you, those responses to you live. A little bit of behind-the-scenes info here. Our own Ann Jeanette has just stepped outside, so she's going to join me in just a second to give me the lowdown on what's going on inside, what the timeline is here, when we could see the jury back in the courtroom. But again, if you're just joining us, we were supposed to have the verdict read right at 3 o'clock. The judge did call the jury into the room right at 3 o'clock. Johnny Depp's legal team was there. Amber Heard and her legal team were sitting in there. But they looked at the paperwork, they looked at this special jury form, and someone said, oh, the judge said, oh, you guys forgot to fill out something pretty crucial here, because the damages page was left blank. And the attorneys had a little sidebar, and then the judge sent the jury back to fill in the damages. Ann Jeanette just sat down next to me. Ann Jeanette, tell me, what's going on in there? What was the vibe? What's going on?
Well, I think the vibe was, everybody, we're told that we're not allowed to talk to anybody in there, which, we're news people, so, and we're just human beings, so that's really difficult.
The people
so we got kind of
over
shushed.
there.
But it was interesting because it was kind of heavy. Like, Amber Heard walked in, she kind of greeted her attorneys, wearing a black dress. Her hair kind of pulled back loosely. This is different from a lot of the times we've seen her come in with the braids. I couldn't see whether she smiled or anything like that, but she came in. Obviously, we know Johnny Depp had previously scheduled concerts with Jeff Beck in London, so he's not here.
Right.
He's watching, we're told, from the UK. So they came in, the jury walked in, they took their seats, they kind of just looked around slightly, not a lot, and then they just kind of focused on the judge. Judge Azcarate calls the lawyers up. She says, you have to assign damages. I think I can safely say if they didn't assign damages and they were supposed to, they found defamatory statements. right?
Right. That's what we have been saying, you know, and Linda agrees with you too. Tell me, first of all, who's in the courtroom in the audience? Is it a mix of media and regular people, onlookers? Is it completely packed?
You know, it's not as packed as it could be or as it has been. Like, there have been a lot of days where it's just totally packed. I was sitting next to a reporter from the UK, another reporter from Courthouse News. We were just, you know, we've talked a lot during this case. We saw some of the local, I would call like more local Depp fans here. I didn't see any Amber Heard supporters up there. That doesn't mean there might not have been one or two there, but I did not see them. And, you know, it's just kind of like, I felt like everybody's just kind of sitting there. They're waiting for the big news.
Yeah. So it's like almost like, oh, false alarm. You came back out here. Does that mean you don't think they're going to be back for a bit?
Well,
what's going on time-wise?
I felt I should come out here, and sorry, I'm a little bit out of breath.
Yeah, and Anjanette has her tennis shoes on, by the way, so she is out running for you guys to get you everything you need to know. And don't forget, it's close to 100 degrees out here.
Yeah, it's close to 100 degrees. And I swapped the the sandals for the Brooks sneakers. So, but I ran out of there as everybody else did. Got on the elevator, came out. They obviously have set things up much differently now at the press conference area, and they've put up the I forget what you call them, not barricades, but the little. They've set it up so that the attorneys can walk out in a civilized manner and not be swarmed by people.
Right.
Because
There's barricades because they don't want people rushing them, and those barricades have been set up since yesterday in anticipation.
But this looks like almost like a red carpet or something. This is different than the barricades. This is like in front of the courthouse doors, and it's those things where you can kind of unhook the thing, the little ribbon thing, and you can unhook it. And they have those, and there are fans on both sides. So there are Depp supporters, it appears, on both sides.
Right, and we're showing our viewers that picture outside the courthouse right now. So, and by the way, I just want to say to everyone who's tuned in right now, we've got 2.7 million people watching us on YouTube. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Feel free to send in your questions because while we wait, we want to answer more of your viewer questions. We've got, once again, our all-star panel, Linda Kenny Bodden's with us in the studio. We've got other guests joining us. Obviously, Anjanette is here, so keep sending us your questions. And we are here to answer them. Now, it's funny, you say it's almost like a red carpet. These lawyers have really attained celebrity status over the last 6+ going on 7 weeks of this trial. I mean, Camille Vasquez now has fans from all over.
That's
Talk
true.
a little bit about that, about sort of like the status that these lawyers have earned during this trial.
Yeah, and Ben Shue especially and Camille Vasquez have become celebrities. TikTok started making videos about both of them. There have been plenty of moments in this trial that were comical, despite the very serious subject matter being discussed. But there have been some amusing moments, and they have become stars in their own right. They've become almost legal superstars. So they've become celebrities. There have been times out here when they've left court where I actually felt a little bit concerned because I felt like even...
Back. So bad. Such bad play.
All rise.
All right, Mr. Foreperson, is this the verdict of the jury?
Yes.
All right, is it unanimous?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Jamie?
In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Mr. Depp's claim against Ms. Heard. 1. As to the statement appearing in the online op-ed entitled, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition, quote, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 2, as to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled A Transformative Moment for Women in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of this statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million. In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Ms. Heard's claim against Mr. Depp. 1. As to this statement appearing in the April 8, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. 2. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt did not do the trick. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine and roughed the place up, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Ms. Heard proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, Mr. Waldman, while acting as an agent for Mr. Depp, made or published the statement? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was seen by someone other than Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven by clear and convincing evidence that the statement by Mr. Waldman was made with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, we've reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million. as against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $0.
Does either side wish to have the jury polled?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Jamie?
Members of the jury, if this is your verdict, please answer yes. If this is not your verdict, please answer no. Juror number 6. Yes. Juror number 10. Yes. Juror number 15. Yes. Juror number 16. Yes. Juror number 22. Yes. Juror number 27. Yes. Juror number 29.
Yes.
I do find that the jury's verdict is unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes your service in this case. I want to thank you again for your dedication and your hard work during this trial, and I know I speak for everybody here when I tell you that we appreciate your sacrifices and your time and your public service in this matter, okay? So I'm going to have you go back to the jury deliberation room for one more time, and then we'll release you from there, okay? All right, thank you. All right. Okay. In accordance with law, I will amend the punitive damages award to the statutory cap of $350,000 on Mr. Depp's award, okay? I will set this down for entry of an order, and can we do it on June 24th at 10 a.m. if that's available? All right,
Yes,
Mr. Chu, if you could prepare that order and then circulate it to Ms. Brederhoff, and we can have all the objections noted on it. All right?
We'll do that, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
All right, and if I get it before that date, I'll take it off the docket, okay? All right, again, thank you to all the attorneys for your professionalism, and you're welcome to come to my courtroom anytime. Well, give me a few weeks, but then you can come anytime, okay? All right, court is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. So, I guess he pays him 15 million, and then 2 million, 13, no?
Outside the courtroom where you can see these fans. As I said, every time a judgment was read in favor of Johnny Depp, a huge crowd, cheers, went up here. The crowd cheering, Johnny, Johnny, clearly heavily tilted in favor of Johnny Depp outside the courtroom right now. And so they're still standing outside. I imagine they are going to be here waiting for Johnny Depp's legal team to come out, as I was met just a few minutes ago with Anjanette, the lawyers themselves have basically earned celebrity status during the course of this trial. The judge sending the jurors back into the jury room one more time before they are dismissed. Linda, do you think we're going to hear anything from Amber Heard?
Well, she came to the courthouse, so I assume that she will give a press conference. They'll say they're going to appeal the verdict. They'll say that she was vindicated. Remember, this case has a lot of spin going on with it. But she's going to be asked the question: is how do you feel about the jury not believing your claims against Johnny Depp that he is he was the abuser? It turns out he was the victim, and she's not going to be happy with that question. I don't think there's an answer she can give that can spin that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's no question we're going to hear from her legal team. Maybe they'll take some questions. My guess is if she were to come out, and that's a big if because this is a pro-Johnny Depp crowd out here, if she were to come out, maybe she would make a brief prepared statement and then be like immediately ushered into a car by security. I don't think she's going to be doing any kind of press conference answering any major questions right now. Depp's team, on the other hand, I expect they will be. Again, for those who are just tuning in, the verdicts, I should say, not the verdict, but the verdicts are in, and Johnny Depp, the clear winner here, the jury determining that Amber Heard did defame him on all 3 counts that were being considered in her 2018 Washington Post op-ed. And joining us now is the one, the only, Dan Abrams, the founder of the Law and Crime Network, with us. Dan, give me your reaction.
Well, first of all, we have to say, wow. I mean, I'm sitting in a car watching this live stream just like 3 million plus others have been on the Law and Crime Network. And the fact that Johnny Depp won on all 3 of the counts is pretty amazing. Remember, this is a case where he sued a publication in London where the standard is harder to win. And a judge came back and said, no, he believed that Johnny Depp was a, quote, wife beater on 12 of 14 counts. Now you have a jury here of 7 people, 5 men and 2 women, coming back and saying that Johnny Depp was defamed on all 3 of the counts. I mean, this, I think, is a real surprise to a lot of people. Now, I had talked about previously the possibility of both of them, quote unquote, winning. But I think this, quote, win for Amber Heard is really a token win. Putting aside the money, right? Putting aside the fact that it's $15 million for him, $2 million for her, that's not just the issue here. You know, it sounds like the issue the jurors had with the statement made by the lawyer for Johnny Depp was about the fact that she got together with her friends, effectively conspiring. So maybe they didn't believe that aspect of it. But it seems to me that the takeaway from this case is these jurors believed Johnny Depp and they didn't believe Amber Heard. I don't think there is any other way to interpret all of these verdicts together.
Yeah, and Dan, I think that's a really good point because the statement in which the jurors found for Amber Heard was a longer one that Adam Waldman made in which he said, you know, talking about Amber and her friends setting Johnny Depp up, and to your point saying, yeah, so Amber and her friends spilled a little wine, they roughed up the place, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, then placed a second call to 911. So perhaps the jurors didn't believe that whole sort of collaboration, right, conspiring happened. Would you say that then this is not a total loss for Amber Heard, though?
I think it's a total loss for Amber Heard. I mean, it's better. I mean, it's better that she won that one aspect of it than if she didn't win anything. Her team can now try and spin it and suggest that it was, you know, both sides and people didn't believe either. But in the end, I mean, when we talk to these jurors, and I'm sure that some of them will talk, they're going to tell you, I feel confident that they're going to tell you that they simply did not believe Amber Heard. Because remember, it's not that she won on all 3 of the counts with regard to her countersuit either. I mean, basically the jurors have come back and said he wins on all counts and she wins on all counts, then I'd have a different answer for you. But because they said he wins on all counts, but she just wins on this one issue, it seems to me that I don't see how those jurors believe on questions 2 and 3 with regard to Johnny Depp. Not just the sexual violence claim, but the rest of it. I don't see how those jurors come back and say that he was defamed and that there was any sort of equivalency here. If he was defamed by that statement and Amber Heard did not win on those countersuits with regard to calling it a hoax, etc., these jurors clearly believed Johnny Depp and didn't believe Amber Heard.
Yeah, Dan, let me stop you here because our 3.5 or so million viewers, 3 million viewers on YouTube, some people have some concerns. They want to make sure that you are not driving. Like so many people, I'm sure you stopped whatever you were doing when you heard a verdict was coming at 3 o'clock. You picked up your phone and dialed into YouTube, right?
I'm in the back seat of a car. I'm not actually driving the car.
Right. He's not at the wheel, guys. He's in the back seat of a car. He's safe. Everyone on the road is safe. Dan's a lawyer. He wouldn't endanger himself and others. Let's talk about the appeal. Is Amber Heard going to appeal this, Dan?
Absolutely, she's going to appeal it. And remember, people have to remember that when you're appealing primarily the legal rulings, right? So she will appeal some of the testimony that was allowed to come in. She will appeal some of the aspects of the judge's rulings in this case, the pretrial rulings, the ruling itself. She's going to challenge the fact that there was a camera in the courtroom. There's going to be a whole panoply of challenges that she's going to make about how unfair the trial was, and she'll also seek to reduce damages, right? In any appeal, the first thing you want to do, in addition to try and get a new trial, get it thrown out, is to try to reduce the damages and say that the jury made mistakes in how it assessed damages. I think that's her most likely chance of success here, but you know, that's not going to be the win for her. I mean, this to me is just, it's basically an all-out win for Johnny Depp. And I do think that this gets him exactly what he wanted here, which is, I don't think he cares about the money, whether he ends up getting the money. She probably doesn't have that kind of money. This is vindication for Johnny Depp. A jury has said that he was defamed by these comments. And that means that these jurors believe that he was not a domestic abuser. And I think that allows him to get back his career in many ways. You could argue there were other reasons he'd lost much of his career, but this is a massive win for Johnny Depp, and I don't think it can be underestimated to characterize it that way.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, you touched on the damages, and let me remind our viewers again that the jury awarded Johnny Depp $15 million in damages, and they awarded Amber Heard $2 million for finding that one of the statements made by Johnny Depp's lawyers was defamatory. So a little bit of imbalance in what's owed. To your point, you know, Amber might not have that money. We've talked about this already, but what happens to her in this case? She doesn't have the $15 million for damages.
Well, we'll see. You know, look, there's going to be a lot of appeals. We're a long way from the final judgment being issued in this case, and you know, Johnny Depp pursuing the damages against her. Well, let's see what happens there before we say that Amber Heard is going to have to declare bankruptcy. You know, which is potentially something that could happen in the end if she owed this kind of money and simply can't pay it. She could also try and raise money through donations, etc., from other people based on the reaction to this trial. I'm not sure that would be particularly successful. But, you know, I think we're a little ways away from knowing exactly how much she's going to have to pay and how she's going to get that money.
Let's talk about Johnny Depp for a second, because a little bit before we found out that there was a verdict, we did confirm that he was not going to be here. There had been a lot of speculation. We know he's been playing rock shows the last 3 nights in the UK. We knew there was a possibility he'd stay there. In fact, his team confirmed he would be staying there and watching the verdict from there. Any thoughts on him not being present for the verdict?
You know, this is not a criminal case. I think that people are sort of conflating this with a criminal trial. People say, how could he not be there? You know, this is a civil case for damages. You could argue, okay, does he not care enough to be there? I don't know. I mean, I don't view it as particularly significant that when it comes to a verdict that could take many days, that he decided he didn't want to wait. That's really more, from my perspective, a PR issue than it is a legal question. And the dollars, okay, but that didn't happen.
I think.
And so.
Okay, you're back. Dan, can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay, so you brought up really it's more of a PR question, and so no, that's okay. We get it, lots going on. Listen, so you said, yeah, that's a PR question about Deb not being here. So I have another PR question for you because you watch so many of these high-profile trials, and yes, this is not a criminal trial, but we've seen a lot of high-profile civil trials. We know that these stars' reputations, you know, what was left of them essentially were at stake. Amber Heard's in the courtroom. We know both legal teams are going to come out. Do you think Amber Heard is going to address the media at all?
I don't think with all those Johnny Depp fans out there, she wants to hold a press conference where people start yelling at her and those sound bites end up showing. If I were her PR team, I would let the lawyers for Amber Heard make statements. I wouldn't have her. I'd have her sit down with someone, you know, a relatively favorable journalist sometime, you know, tomorrow, next day, whenever, to give her statement. I don't think she wants the sound bites of her, you know, talking about how upset she is, about the disappointed she is, and people yelling at her and jeering at her. But I'd expect that both sides' lawyers would likely make themselves available to the media right there after the case. And of course, the most interesting part is going to be talking to the jurors, if and when they'll talk.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that most be talking to. Yeah.
Absolutely. Dan, thank you so much for dialing in and sharing your response with us, your reactions to this big pivotal moment after more than 6 weeks of covering this trial. We thank you so much. Maybe we'll check in with you later. But for now, I want to go right to Linda in the studio. She has a statement from Johnny Depp, his reaction to the verdict. Linda.
Oh, my goodness. I'm actually trying to find it right now, Stacey, so just give me 1 second here. Hold on 1 second. You know, live TV, a lot going on. Okay, I need the statement. I will read it to you, but I need the statement. But while I'm waiting for that, if our producers can put it here, okay? All right, let me read it right now. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go, all right? And by the way, I love Dan commenting on our favorite witness by giving his report from his car. Alejandro, I'm changing my Zoom background. But here's Johnny Depp by his spokesperson. 6 years ago, my life, the life of my children, the lives of those closest to me, and also the lives of the people who for many, many years have supported and believed in me were forever changed, all in the blink of an eye. False, very serious and criminal allegations were levied at me by the media, which triggered an endless barrage of hateful content, although no charges were ever brought against me. It had already traveled around the world twice within a nanosecond, and it had a seismic impact on the life and my career. And 6 years later, the jury gave back my life. I am truly humbled. My decision to pursue this case, knowing very well the height of the legal hurdles that I would be facing and the inevitable worldwide spectacle into my life, was only made after considerable thought. From the very beginning, the goal of bringing this case was to reveal the truth regardless of the outcome. Speaking the truth was something that I owe to my children and to those who have remained steadfast in their support of me. I feel at peace knowing that I have finally accomplished that. I am and have been overwhelmed by the outpouring of love and the colossal support and kindness from around the world. I hope that my quest to have the truth be told will have helped others, men or women, who have found themselves in my situation, and that those supporting them never give up. I also hope that the position will now return to the innocent until proven guilty, both within the courts and the media. I wish to acknowledge the noble work of the judge, the jurors, the court staff, and the sheriffs who have sacrificed their own time to get to this point, and to my diligent and unwavering legal team who did an extraordinary job in helping me share the truth. The best is yet to come, and a new chapter has finally begun. Veritas numquat perit, truth never perishes. That's from Johnny Depp. That's the statement. Stacey, I know that you are sitting out there with Anjanette. We have Nima here in the studio right now. What is your reaction to that? Stacey, what is going back to you, your reaction to all that? Johnny Depp's statement, very long,
my
very well thought.
My reaction to you is Amber Heard's statement, which we just have in to us right now. Let me read that. The disappointment I feel today is beyond words. I'm heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband. I'm even more disappointed with what this verdict means for other women. It is a setback. It sets back the clock to a time when a woman who spoke up and spoke out could be publicly shamed and humiliated. It sets back the idea that violence against women is to be taken seriously. She goes on to say, I believe Johnny's attorney succeeded in getting the jury to overlook the key issue of freedom of speech and ignore evidence that was so conclusive that he won in the UK. I'm sad I lost this case, but I am sadder still that I seem to have lost a right that I thought I had as an American to speak freely and openly. Again, that's a statement from Amber Heard sent to us by her publicist, where she says, I'm sad I lost this case. So even though the jurors did find that Johnny Depp's attorney defamed her with one of his statements, as we've been saying, clearly this is a big loss for her. And Linda, when she says, you know, this is an affront to freedom of speech, what's your take on that?
It's not. The problem is that we said this is a very important case for freedom of speech when we started covering it here at the Law and Crime Network. But it's also important that those don't abuse it. People do not abuse the freedom of speech. They don't defame others, especially calling someone who may have been the victim, or now the jury says is the victim, the abuser, and changing his life and the life of his family and children forever. So you have freedom of speech, yes, but you can't lie about people, and you can't lie about the people in the public. And I think the jury felt that, as we talked many times on this network, that Amber Heard was manipulative, and they did not want to be manipulated by her lies to them. And therefore, they came out with this very convincing verdict. And it is a total win, as Dan Abrams said, for Johnny Depp, because on the other side of the token, what you have is a lawyer who's going to be paying a malpractice policy if it doesn't get overturned on appeal.
Linda, Anjanette Levy's back outside with us now. She was inside when the verdicts were read. What was the mood? Did you get any reaction from Amber and her team? What was going on in there as the verdicts were read?
Well, I was sitting behind her team, her side of the courtroom, and I was trying to see, obviously I'm seeing the back of their heads, so I didn't get much reaction. Obviously, they're disappointed. They believe they're right. They believe he's wrong. But the jury saw otherwise. The jury, he ran the table. He may not have gotten the $50 million, but he won on every question.
Right.
That jury found that they believed that she lied. That's what they're saying. They're saying she lied and that she put it out there in the public to hurt him. And it did hurt him. So she will appeal, I'm sure. But, you know, obviously he lost on the second Waldman statement.
Right.
So, yes.
So, you know, we said, okay, a little bit of a win for her. Now, it seemed extremely quiet, like you could hear a pin drop in there.
Yes.
I assume, was there any reaction from the crowd? Did anyone sort of gasp, sigh, anything like that, you know?
Yeah, there were smiles, obviously. There were smiles. I kept trying to look around to see Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez's reactions. And, you know, they were kind of, I could see Ben Chu smiling a little bit, but it wasn't like a huge, huge smile. You know, it's a court of law. There's a certain level of decorum. Obviously, they are pleased. They won. They may not have gotten the $50 million that they were seeking in the original claim, but he got 10. They found that he deserved compensatory damages of $10 million and then punitive damages of $5, but that's capped at $350,000 by statute. So he won't get the $5 in punitive damages. But, you know, I could see there were fans of his in there who were smiling. I must say, I think I mentioned this on the air earlier today, and I wanted to grab him before I came out here, and I just couldn't. I hope he comes. If you're watching, he said he's been watching. Come by the tent. Please come by the tent. We invite you. But this gentleman was in line with me for a wristband this morning, and he said that he used to try cases, is what he said. And he told me this morning he believed, I'm pretty sure he said, I believe the jury will be back today and they will give him $14 million. When they said the 10 and 5, I literally looked back and he just smiled at me. I was like, how did you know? So he needs to come over here and give us an exclusive because he said that to me this morning whenever we were here at 7 a.m.
So, and Jeanette, I believe our camera's up now showing you guys the front of the courthouse. You've been talking to these lawyers throughout the process. You expect
as much as we can.
As much as you can.
I mean,
right.
they were not
you've introduced yourself.
Yes.
You know, you've not been getting inside details or anything that you shouldn't be.
Right.
But you've spoken to them enough.
I'm a very chatty person.
Right.
So
that's why we love you. So you expect that both sides will be coming out to deliver some remarks.
I don't know that. I would certainly hope so. We are all set up for a press conference. I would certainly hope that Depp's team would come out and make some comments. The world is watching. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say the world is watching.
You know, more than 3 million people watching on our channel alone.
Yes, and we've got a chopper up above, some type of news chopper. We've got, you know, the world media set up here. So I would assume and hope that they might come out. I keep trying to check my phone, but still pay attention, obviously, to what we're doing here.
Sure.
So we're not being rude here, people. This is just how we operate in 2022.
Right.
So we are trying to get that information. I would certainly hope they would come out. We're allowed to do this now. This was not allowed during the trial, not at all. The judge said nothing, no interviews, no public statements.
Right, which is common during.
Correct. It's a gag order of sorts.
Yeah. So we want to, for those who may have missed part of the verdicts, it happened somewhat quickly. Let's go back and listen to the part when the jurors delivered their monetary judgment in Johnny Depp's favor.
$5 million. In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Ms. Heard's claim against Mr. Depp.
Okay, some technical difficulties. Okay. We're having some technical difficulties apparently with that clip. So, Anjanette, we were just talking about, we expect attorneys from both sides are going to come out.
is up, guys? My name is Lex. Welcome back to the vlog. We are still here in Texas, as you can see at the lodge. It is a very, very hot day today, like 95 degrees. We're ready to play some poker. It is packed in there. We got a seat at the 2-5 table. Brad Owen is on our right. So hopefully we can get some Bradley dollars. Let's hope we can run good as well. Let's get down to the table. Let's get to the action. Let's go. Starting off today at 2.5 no limit, buying in for $2,000. This is my third day here in Austin, Texas, and the first 2 days have not gone my way. I'm down over $7,000, making the wrong decisions, the wrong plays, basically losing almost every single hand. But today, it's all about to change. This session is super exciting. I can't wait to share with you guys. It's a ton of swings, huge pots. Let's get started. First hand we get dealt in, pocket eights from early position. I make it $25. Small blind makes the call, and then Brad Owen in the big blind, co-owner of the lodge, makes the call as well. Flop is 10 high, checks over to me. I bet $25. Small blind calls $25. Brad calls in the big blind. Turn is an ace, another overcard to our pair. When it checks to me, I check this one back. River card is a deuce. Small blind checks. Brad decides to bet $50. I think about calling here with my pocket eights, thinking that maybe he's bluffing, but into 2 players for the sizing seems pretty ambitious of him, so I let my pocket eights go. Small blind folds, and Brad shows us an ace. A small pot there, but unfortunately no Bradley dollars for us. Moving on, Brad opens up under the gun to $15. There's a call. I have ace jack of diamonds in middle position. I decide to 3-bet to $60. I apologize in advance in this video. My hands are pretty beat up. I went to a local playground and did some pull-ups, and it really did a number on my hands. They look pretty rough. Brad makes the call. Middle position makes the call as well. 3 ways to a flop. Comes out queen, 10, jack. We flop middle pair. Brad decides to just open fold his hand. Under the gun 1 checks, I bet $50. Under the gun +1, it makes the call. We end up checking this board down, and I end up winning this pot against pocket nines. After getting crushed for 2 days straight, I'm just trying to book a win here in Austin. I've lost almost $7,000 making the wrong decisions, making the wrong calls, the wrong folds, and today my goal is just to try to book a win and get some positive momentum here. Under the gun makes it $25. There's a call. I have pocket queens in the small blind. Because the initial raise came from under the gun, sometimes we could flat call here, but this time I like to go with a 3-bet, which I think is the right play a lot of the time. I bump it up to $130. Under the gun thinks for a while. With about $2,000 in a stack, he decides $130 is not enough. Let's play for more. A 4th bet incoming here. $375. My opponent under the gun doesn't look like the kind of player who is playing poker for a living, which means I think his 4-bet range is going to be pretty strong here. Probably hands like aces, kings, ace-king suited, maybe ace-king offsuit, possibly pocket jacks. Against that range, I don't think a 5th bet would be good here with my pocket queens. We're either flipping against ace-king or we're crushed against pocket aces and kings. But I got to see a flop here for this price. So I decided to make the call. With about $800 in the middle, we're going to the flop in a 4-bet pot. It comes out ace, deuce, deuce, 2 hearts. I check over to the initial raiser under the gun. In a 4-bet pot on this board, he should have the range advantage. He's going to have aces and ace-king, but it is possible he could still have pocket jacks, maybe pocket queens as well. He continues for a smaller bet of $275, and now we're in kind of a close spot. I do think a lot of the time we're going to be beat here by hands like ace-king, maybe ace-queen, and hands like pocket kings as well. If he does have pocket kings and he checks back the turn, I could potentially try to bluff the river to try to get him off that hand. If he does have queens and jacks, he's probably going to bet once and then just check it down from there. So I decided to get sticky here and make the call. The turn is a 10, which is also not the best card. If he somehow has pocket 10s here, he's now beating us. I check over to him, hoping, praying he'll check this one back and we can get to showdown. Not this time. He decides to rip his entire stack in there, over $1,500, and we have a pretty easy fold.
I wish I could. For the camera. For the camera? Thanks. Good hand, good hand.
Our opponent was nice enough to show us he had ace-king, which is going to beat our pocket queens. I reach into my bag, add on for more money. We're already down starting off this session, not the way we wanted it to go. With a full $2,000 in our stack, we're in the big blind with ace-king offsuit. Under the gun straddles to $10, cutoff raises to $50, button re-raises to $150. Small blind folds, action on us in the big blind with ace-king offsuit. An interesting spot. I think the best thing to do here is to either fold or 4-bet. Given the fact that it's a cutoff open and a button 3-bet, they can have pretty wide ranges. So let's come in here with that warm 4-bet. I make it $450. I would definitely not be unhappy if both of my opponents folded, and we just took down over $200 pre-flop. Cutoff makes a pretty quick fold, and now the action's back over on the button. He has about $1,500 plus in his stack. If he makes a call here, we could be playing a huge pot out of position. After thinking for a while, he decides to let his hand go, which is fine with me. We take down over $200 pre-flop. Still stuck a couple $100 now. We're in the big blind again with ace king. There's a cutoff limp. The button now, a different player makes it $50. I'm going to keep the aggression going here. I re-raise to $205 and the button makes to fold again. We take down another small pot. Next up, no straddle. I'm in the small blind with queen 9 offsuit. I make it $15. Big blind makes a call. We're playing the small blind button bonus game, which means if the small blind wins the hand, they get the money on the button. Flop comes out 8-8-9, 2 clubs. I continue for $20 here with my top pair, and now the big blind, a pretty aggressive active player, raises me to $60. When the big blind raises immediately on this flop, he's basically saying he has trip 8s, and that's pretty hard to do. He wouldn't really be playing any overpairs of the board like this. He would most likely 3-bet that hand pre-flop. I put him on a bluff here like Jack 10, 6-7, 7-10, all open-ended straight draws. He could also be doing this with a flush draw as well, so I make the call, looking to evaluate on the turn. We see the 5 of diamonds, which is not the best card. Does bring in 6-7 for a straight. I check over to him, and he continues to tell a story that he has a strong hand. He makes it $125. This spot is very player dependent. If I was playing this spot against a nit, I would just fold my top pair, but against this particular player, who is a aggressive. I played with him before on other Texas live streams. I know he's capable of putting in some aggressive lines with bluffs, flush draws, straight draws, and value hands. Given the fact that I'm really only losing now to just a few hands, and I'm still beating a lot of bluffs, I make the call. The board gets really gross when the 6 of diamonds comes on the river. Now any 7 will make a straight. I check over to the big blind, hoping this goes check, check, and maybe my 9 is good, but that is not going to happen. My opponent continues to put on the pressure here. He slides out a bet of $300 in green chips, and now we're in a pretty close spot. I go into the tank and start thinking here. My opponent did raise me on the flop, so on the flop he was saying he had trip 8s, and would a hand like ace 8 or king 8 really be betting this sizing on the river on this run out when I could easily have a 7 myself? I also don't think he'd be betting this sizing with a hand like 6-7 himself either, because I could easily have a full house. I think he would be going a little bit smaller if he had a straight. So he's basically saying he has a hand like 8-5, 8-6, pocket 9s, or 8-9. Because there's still some bluffs available like Jack 10, and the flush draw misses, and I'm just sick of folding here in Texas, I decide to make the call. The big blind rolls over, Jack 10 offsuit for Jack high, and finally, after 2 long days here in Texas, we make the right decision and take down a decent pot. The table has now decided to do a mandatory $10 straddle. The game has been bumped to 5-10. Our stack is sitting about $3,700. So finally, our third day on this trip, we're up about $500 or $600 so far on this session. On to the next one. I'm in the cutoff. I get dealt in 5-6 of hearts, a beautiful suited connector. The double straddle's on, so it's 2, 5, 10, 20. I raise the $75 back over to Under the Gun +1. He doesn't want to play for 75. He wants to play for more, but he re-raises super tiny to $170. I'm not sure what this small 3-bet sizing means, but no way I'm going to fold in position with such a pretty hand. I make the call. Heads up here to the flop of 3-7-7 rainbow. We flop a gut shot. My opponent checks, and I'm going to start bluffing here, trying to get him off ace or king high hands. I put out a bet, and this time it works. We take down another pot. This pot was small and boring, but it did feel like the momentum was finally swinging in my direction. After 2 days of getting crushed, things are finally starting to go my way. I'm dragging in some pots. I haven't made any huge bad decisions yet, and we're up about $800 now in the session. Like I said before, my goal for this session is just to try to book a win, try to get some positive momentum going in my direction again here in Texas. The double straddle's on again, 2, 5, 10, 20. With ace king offsuit and the hijack, I raise to $75. The cutoff player with $1,300 in a stack re-raises me here to $220. The player who re-raised me here in the cutoff is the same player who tried to bluff me earlier with Jack 10, and I called him down with Queen 9. He's had a couple rough hands, and I would say he's down a couple $1,000. With a $20 straddle on, his stack size of $1,300 is not even 100 big blinds. Every situation in poker is very player dependent. If my opponent was a nit, I could find a fold here, but this player is definitely not a nit. He's very aggressive. He can have some smaller pocket pairs, some suited broadways, and some worse ace highs. So for about $1,300 with ace king, I think we only have one option.
All in. Tomorrow should be the
4-bet all in for the remainder of my opponent's stack, and we don't get snap called, which is great news. That means he doesn't have a pair, and he doesn't have ace-king either, so I'm actually praying for a call. I'm hoping he has a hand like ace-queen suited, maybe ace-jack suited. After thinking for about 30 seconds, he decides to push his chips in there, so we're going to 5 cards here with ace-king.
Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
Let's see if we can hold for almost a $3,000 pot.
That was the biggest. That was the biggest. Yeah, you gotta have like a 400, like if you're 600 down one. I did the 1600. 16. Yeah. Because like I think like in the lower the max was like 40K, and in the highest was like 100. Yeah, for what I did was 100. Okay, so that was the highest.
Well, we got a call with a hand that we love to see. King Queen suited, we had him completely dominated. The flop was 10-6-6. He was basically drawing dead. He turned a flush draw and he rivered a queen. So just like that, up $800 to now down about $400 or $500. It's really not that big of a pot or that big of swings, but after getting crushed 2 days in a row, making bad decisions, I'm finally in a good spot, looking to win a huge pot, ace king versus king queen, and we just can't hold. At this point, I was just super frustrated with this whole trip. I had a really rough 2 days, and finally things were going my way on day number 3. If I would have won this pot, I would have been up over $2,000, but that's just how poker goes. Gotta shake it off, move on to the next hand. With $1,300 less in my stack now and a little on tilt, I make it $50 over a limp with ace-10 offsuit. Cutoff makes the call for $50, button calls 50, big blind calls 50, and under the gun, limper makes the call as well. 5 ways to a 10-high board. Top pair top kicker seems like a great spot for me to bet. I put out $115 and only the under the gun player makes the call. Down to 2, heads up now, we see the deuce of hearts on the turn. There's around $500 in the middle, and under the gun player looks at me, looks down at his chips, and decides he just wants to go all in. He rips it all in here for 2x the size of the pot, $1,135 all in. What the heck in Texas is going on here? My opponent just jams all in. Would he ever do this with a strong hand? If he had a set like pocket 8s or 5s, would he just jam the turn for 2x pot? Would he be doing this with a 10x hand that I'm beating like Jack 10, Queen 10? It's a little unlikely. Really, the only hands that I'm losing to are pocket 8s and pocket 5s. He limp called pre-flop, so he shouldn't have an overpair. I just don't think he's really ever doing this with a strong hand. He could have a big combo draw, like a straight draw and a flush draw. My particular opponent here is here for fun, having some drinks, so given that player description, I decide to reluctantly play the call. All in for a big one. If we lose this, we're going to be stuck over $2,000. The river is a queen of diamonds, and my opponent shows 7-4 of hearts for a straight and flush draw that misses, and our ace-10 is going to hold, and just like that, we get all of our money back that we just lost the previous hand, ace-king versus king-queen. Nowhere else in the country have I played poker and experienced some crazy swings like you do in Texas, some huge pots, ups and downs. It's really a crazy roller coaster ride here in Austin. Riding the crazy poker swings, double straddle on for 20 in this hand, folds to me in the $10 straddle with pocket 8s. I raise to $80. Under the gun plus $1, $20 straddle, makes the call. Flop is Jack, Jack, deuce, rainbow. I bet $55. My opponent makes the call. Turn ace of hearts. I check. He bets 100. I call. River 3 of hearts. I check. He checks back, and we win. So far in this session, we were stuck 500, then we were up 800, then we were stuck 500 again, then we won 2 decent pots back to back, and now we're up about $1,500, all within about a 3-hour time period. Get ready for a fun one. Next up,
fuck is that run out?
$40 in a straddle pot. I have king queen off.
What the fuck is that? Fuck was that run out? Fuck is that? What the fuck? Fuck is going on? Second to fuckhead. How the fuck did that happen? What the fuck was that? Don't do it. Fucking run out here. Fucking tilting. Turn the set. As I turn. Don't give me the fucking jack. Fuck. Fucking game. So much.
In the small blind, I 3-bet to $175. Cutoff comes along with a call. The first 3 cards are good ones for us. King, Queen, 8, 2 diamonds, flopping top 2 pair in a 3-bet pot. I continue for $225 and the cutoff matches my bet. The turn card is not good. It is great. It's the King of Diamonds giving us a full house, the best hand possible. I want to continue to bet here, but not too big. I still want him to call with his straight draws, maybe his pair plus flush draws, or his ace-queen hands. So I bet smaller according to the size of the pot, $250. The cutoff doesn't think for too long and calls again. A big pot brewing here. Going to the last card, which is the 5 of diamonds. Now there's 4 diamonds on the board. My opponent has about $1,300 left, and I'm going to go for it all. After thinking for a while, I jam all in. The cutoff snap calls my bet. The full house is good, and just like that, things are finally turning around in our direction, winning over a $4,000 pot here with a full house. I'm guessing I coolered my opponent given the fact that he snap called the river. He probably had the ace-high flush or a worse full house, but either way, it feels good to finally get some chips pushed in our direction. Still riding the high from that last huge pot. I'm going to cut off here with pocket 10. Straddles off this hand. Under the gun raises to $15. We're super deep stacked, so I decide to 3-bet to $75. He makes the call. Heads up here in a 3-bet pot. In position, the board comes out 10 high. We make top set the nuts. Man, it feels good to run good in Texas. My opponent checks. I bet $115 and he makes the call. The flop is good, but the turn gets even better. It's another 10. We make quads, and my opponent checks over to me. It's kind of an interesting spot. What should we do here with quads? Obviously, we want to try to get paid. I actually think against this particular player, if I check back here, he may turn some hands into a bluff on the river. So I allow him to try to catch up or bluff here on the last card. I check back. The river card's a 7 of clubs. Front door flush gets there. I'm praying he has a hand like pocket 7s or maybe the ace high flush. I am really hoping he leads out with a bluff or a value bet so I can raise big, but not this time. He checks over to me. When Under the Gun checks this river, I think he has a hand with showdown value that he's looking to just check call, so I want to bet a sizing that he can call with all of his smaller pocket pairs, so I throw out $175, and without thinking for too long, my opponent makes the call, and as you can probably expect, quads are good, and we get some more chips pushed in our direction. What's funny is that quad 10s are actually the 3rd best hand on this run out. 9 6 of clubs and jack 9 of clubs are both straight flushes. How sick would it have been to make straight flush? It would have been good for the vlog, but bad